I'm life and confidence coach Dianna Leeder, and this is my podcast, the Crave More Life Roadshow. It's here we talk about emotional hits and lovingly kicking our own asses to get through them. Just so you know, it always comes down to being your beautiful, sassy self, living and loving from you, no matter what. So join me to hear about the healing journeys of other women, and you just might become a DIY ass kicker too. Hey, DIY ass kickers. This is the Crave More Life Roadshow podcast with guest Lulu Trevena. Lulu Trevena is the founder, creatrix of Live Life with Wonder. Becoming a published award-winning author after the age of 55, she wrote the stunning hardcover art and poetic prose book, Soul Blessings, winning the 2018 Silver Nautilus Book Award. Lulu is an artist, home birth mother, soulful living coach, and quantum healing practitioner who's passionate about shifting the societal narrative about women and age. She is the creator of the card deck Moments of Transformation and the hardcover journal Epiphany Journal and Playbook. Her transformational programs will help you live with the confidence to do anything at any stage of life. Lulu is a co-author of two recent books about self-healing, one being our joint collaboration of Find Your Voice, Save Your Life, where she wrote chapter 6 called Unbutton Your Voice, Finding Freedom in Unabashed Full Self-Expression. Welcome, Lulu.
Thank you, Diana. I'm so delighted to be here today, and welcome to your watchers, your viewers.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to do this on Facebook at the same time. Yeah, I love that. So let's just jump right in. Your chapter was so cool. And I have to tell you, one of my favorite words in your title is unabashed. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your chapter? And yeah, and we'll get into the unabashed part as we go.
Great. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a wordy person. I like the essence of words, and unabashed really captures it. So my chapter is about humiliation, and especially when humiliation happens at a very young age and in front of all your peers. It's starts a shutting down process in most people, especially if it's not supported and not given a voice at that time. So my story in chapter 6 is the Unbutton Your Voice, is about the journey of realizing how and when I shut down and what was around the time, and then how I knew internally there was something that really wanted to propel me to speak my truth and speak out. So yeah, I go through a little bit about how it affected me on a physical level, with also contracting hepatitis A at a young age. So that was kind of humiliation. And then another layer on top of that of, the isolation when I had to go into isolation with hepatitis A. And then I also had that beautiful time in the isolation of listening to that still divine voice and knowing that my life was going to be much more than this moment in time, but also to trust the spiritual promptings that have led me forward from that time, and wanting to know myself deeply, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, because it's a worthy journey to know yourself.
Absolutely. So the work that you do is highly spiritual, and it's so amazing. I've had the pleasure of having Lulu work a little bit with me, and it's very, very it's nice, soulful work is what I'll describe it as. So when you had that experience as a child, were you aware of those gifts then?
I had I'd have some what I'd call spiritual, what's the term, insights. I felt I was brought up in the church, and I also had this essence that what they were teaching me, there was much more to it. And so I remember after going to mass and going to Sunday school, I found in nature a beautiful quality of creation that, you know, I felt like spoke to me. Um, and I also, you know, saw the beauty, like especially in the stained glass windows of the church. You know, my knees would be hurting on, you know, kneeling on this wooden bench, and I'd be like in the clouds with the beauty of the stained glass windows, and then listening to the preacher, and it was like too many kind of things didn't match, and so I focused my attention to what is the most important. And so I listened to, as I said, the still voice, and also the beauty, like look for beauty, look for wonder, look for delight. And my business name is Live Life with Wonder, and I didn't actually create that business name, that came to me as well after my fourth daughter was born when I was 41. And one day she was playing when she was a couple of years old, and she, you know, I was like, oh, so much wonder as a child. Why don't we live life with wonder? And I just got this still voice, registered that business name. And I was like, okay, I will.
I'm
And
on it.
I'm on it. So yeah, my business, Live Life with Wonder, is reminding us that we had that as a child. How can we find that again now, and bring that sense of delight and deliciousness back into our life, with the complexity of being a human, and a, you know, an aging human, and responsibilities and families. But how can we bring more of that wonder and awe into our life?
Lovely. So, Lulu, can you share a little bit more about that experience you had in that high school gymnasium? Because you know, when you're talking about wonder, we kind of lose. You know, it's so natural with kids, and we can get shut down so quickly and so easily by thoughtless remarks. That yeah, I wanted to ask you a bit about that.
So it was actually not high school, it was in um, primary school, and I'm Australian,
Oh,
so that
I'm
was,
sorry.
it's okay. So I was around 6. And, you know, as we know, psychology talks about 0 to 7 is the formation of a lot of who we are in our identity. So I was literally just trying to get comfortable. We were all on the floor, we were all seated, we were waiting for a speaker, and you know, kids everywhere. And if you're a more sensitive child like I was, it felt quite claustrophobic already. And then I was really uncomfortable, and so I sort of stood up and asked my friends to move their legs, and can I sit back down? And the speaker comes on stage with this big energy and booming voice, and like directly points to me. And so every eye in the room looks to me in I guess in a sense of a nakedness. I'm naked in front of everyone, and I'm young, and I'm trying to get my needs met and trying to get comfortable. And there I am being called out in front of my peers. um, and then yeah, and then there's the words he spoke out to me to direct his attention, which felt very harsh and not of the situation. The situation was little child wants to get comfortable, you know. So and then after that situation, you know, no one around me, no teachers, no friends, you know, came to aid me in any way. I more or less collapsed into, you know, I think in the chapter I talk about collapsing into the ground, and like feeling like, let me just stay away and stay in this place. I don't need to go back out into, yeah, into society. So yeah, a painful memory, and one that I've worked on to mine the gold from it. So to find what is the essence from that story and that experience. And you only can do that once you actually are prepared to really look at it deeply And, over the many years, now I'm in my 50s, I've got to unravel that a lot. And then now I'm the person that's standing up speaking and aware of that position I have in that speaking, that to be aware of the audience, know that, it's a place that you're holding of authority, but also of deep respect and care for people when you're speaking out to them. So never bring someone out of the audience and point to them at all. So yeah, it's taught me something about compassion. It's definitely taught me about who I want to be as a leader and a speaker. And so yes, I've mined the gold and the treasure from it.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah, I can imagine, as I mean, thinking about some of my own experiences, I know it's difficult to get through those, and you do have to do it when you're ready. And I also think about that relative to the book, to Find Your Voice, Save Your Life, and the writing process of getting your story on paper. Perhaps that wasn't the first time that you had written about it, but I was quite amazed at the number of women that connected after they had written their stories and said, this was so powerful and there was such healing there for me, that that was like, yes, I'm very grateful for that. Yeah.
And I don't know if this was your first choice of title for the book, but it's a spot on title. Know that with your voice, there's part of you that's asking for reclaiming and to be saved. I think it's just a perfect title, and an honoring of that every person's story and every person's voice is very worthy of being heard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I also liked what you said earlier about, and thank you for the compliment on the title. Of course, I agree. It's powerful for sure, but it needs to be powerful. It's a powerful concept. It's a powerful action on our behalf. So yeah, I do enjoy the title as well. But thinking about our responsibility to the people that we are engaging with, whether we're speaking, and I love it as a speaker and a coach, and doing the work that you do, and I can say this from experience, little experience, but at least some, that you do hold that space safe, and you are very respectful, which is amazing. And it's lovely that you were able to take those nuggets, as you referred to them as, into today and allow them to inform who you are and what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think everyone wants to belong, and everyone wants to be seen as worthy, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So when we are leading people or facilitating people, this seeing them and hearing them without trying to censor in any way is so important, that we allow people the space to bring forth what needs to be heard, because it's in the witnessing process that we heal. Because often what's happened throughout our life is, when the wounding or the trauma happened, it was in a place where people were witnessing it. So to heal, it's also great to have those things witnessed again. It's a powerful place to be held safely in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. So one of the things that we have in common is that we both have daughters, and it feels like there is that added responsibility when we have daughters to empower them, to really stand behind them, so that they're not going to experience or will understand anything that happens, in their lives that may have an impact on using their voice. So what kind of things have you done with your daughters?
Many things, actually. So I'm a home birth mum. I believe the birthing process needs to be reclaimed by the woman as a natural process, as much as we can do that. So, birthing them into an environment with lots of consciousness and awareness was important to me. I didn't really follow the standard parenting, approach, I think. If anything, I was probably seen as the more radical, black
Really?
sheep.
Really? I wouldn't have guessed that.
But I am.
I
Um,
love it. Love it.
so yeah, like if my daughters didn't want to hug someone, I would be okay with that. I wouldn't say, no, go and hug that, your uncle or your, grandma or whatever. I would be more okay with listening to my child, and giving them the self-sovereignty that, they knew what they needed and wanted. I also educated the girls in the Steiner Waldorf tradition, which is very much a community-minded education system, about not just educating the intellect, but educating the emotions, the whole beingness of the child. So that was very important to, support their growing years. And also to actually have a voice. And, sometimes it's come back and bit me in the butt, but it's like, well, I've got a voice. And
Yeah.
I, as a mum, would say, but not with me. So yes, they have a voice. They know that they have the right to speak their truth. And my three daughters, now 17, 26 and 28, are beautiful women, wholehearted, dynamic, clear-headed, and goal-orientated to what they want in their life, which, is wonderful for them. Not outside directed for what they want, inner directed for their goals.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's wonderful. And what a gift. What a gift to give them.
Yeah. I hope they think so too. They do often say, but there's times, I'm sure, I actually tell them, I expect you to have a mother wound. You need to work on that mother wound, because you will have one, no matter how I parented you.
Absolutely. That just comes with the territory, right? Yeah. Yeah. There is so much that we want for our daughters. For me, it feels like it's never ending. Like they're still, my daughters are in their later 30s, and there is still, there's still those times when they need mom to, just to sit, just to sit and be with whatever's going on. And I have granddaughters too, and that is just, it's not just fun, but you get to repeat the process again, about hearing them, hearing them. And
My new collaborative book that's coming out mid-year is about women 50 plus. And the reason I'm writing that book, or leading that book with other 21 authors, is because my mum passed when she was 58. And last year I turned 58. So my mum has never seen me as a married woman, as a mother, of course not as an author or whatever else I'm doing in my life. So I did not have that mother along the way. So it's been prompting me to have this book about women and over 50 and the journey ahead, because I realized 58 is really young to pass. And it took me to really get to 58 to realize that how much more life and purpose and legacy and offerings I have, and life to live and enjoy and be from this moment forward. So it's kind of in honor to my matriarchal lineage that I'm honoring all my the women before, because my mother's mum, she also died at 104. So she's like nearly doubled my mother's age by the time of her passing. So, you know, I've got these two positions of women before me that, you know, I'm weaving through this book called Wholehearted Wonder Women 50 plus.
Wow, that's so exciting. So, so exciting. And what it, you know, what an honor for a woman to be able to speak her truth about who she is at that age. You know, we're not the same as we were when we were in our teens or our 20s or our 30s or even our 40s. It's yeah, it's a different time for us. And I love how you are, yes, you're also honoring your mother's lineage. You know, connecting with her and connecting with who came before her and honoring what they experienced. Yeah. I certainly understand the loss part. My mother passed at 65, and without, like, very quickly. So yeah, you know, that mother role is huge, you know, and one that I feel honored to be able to fill for my daughters and my grandchildren. But it's big in our lives, and you know, it's beautiful that has come to you, and that, you know, you're going to go forward with this book. What a great title and a great concept.
Mm-hmm. And often, you know, as you know, even when we're mothering others, we're also mothering ourselves, and we're also doing each of it for the first time. It's not like we had the manual and we know go do ABC. We're still in the exploration as we're trying to get it right. But when we come back to our wholeheartedness, I think we can't get it wrong. So, you know, we're led. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So tell me about your concept of wholeheartedness.
My concept of wholeheartedness. So, of course, the word whole is an important word, you know, WHOLE. So when there's wholeness, it has a great awareness of acceptance and allowance in it. Because anything whole, whether it be a whole tree or, you know, a whole house or whatever, it's the all of it. It's not like the bits that are not okay or look different to the others. So the wholeness is important. And, you know, to connect to the word heart, you know, we've actually forgotten how important our heart is. It actually is formed in embryo before the brain. So the heart has such a power and awareness and intuition. So when we're talking about a wholehearted approach, it has that essence of deep acceptance and allowance, and also that it has a wisdom about it, that it's not something, you know, fluffy. Your heart is not fluffy. And so for the book, the wholehearted awareness approach is to have all these different authors that are from all over the world who have had different experiences and speaking about different things and arriving in their 50s and beyond, and really realizing what that has meant to them from society, and also where they want to step into for them in the most wholehearted way. So yeah, I think the journey for each woman is going to be beautiful as well as the readers. And I was very moved by Brené Brown's description of wholeheartedness, although I can't recall it right at this moment. And, you know, that's one thing with, you know, being an author is, you know, the breaking down of the words and the feeling of the words for yourself. The more that we not doing just everything on automatic is how we bring the presence to the moment, and also the full embodiment for ourselves. So a wholehearted way of living is a fully embodied, aware way to live and move forward in your life.
Beautiful. I like the connection to, not just doing things automatically. I think that, and certainly in my practice, that's a big part of the work that we do is, um, getting to know yourself and trusting who you are, so that you then can be who you are. You can embrace that, and you can accept that. It's not foreign. It's you. And I don't. When I think of wholeheartedness, related to that, I too see that your heart is kind of the center. I swear I can feel it. I can feel my heart. And I can feel the different, the constriction or the expansion depending on what I'm experiencing. So getting to know that, I mean, even just the physical part, the physical sensations, I think is huge. It's a huge gift to give ourselves. And many of us don't. Sadly, we just don't. We're either too busy or, overwhelmed, or maybe we didn't give ourselves the chance to heal over those childhood wounds as you did.
Yeah, in the book, each woman tells a story and also gives a tool, technique, or something for the reader. And the tool that I am working with is actually looking at how many layers we have put on our heart. Whether there's a wall, a little bit of armor, some barbed wire. Do you call that barbed wire here in the States?
Barbed wire, yeah.
Barbed wire, all these things that we've kind of, contained our heart with. That's part of the tool I'm going to be sharing in, and how to open those away from us.
Oh, that's fascinating. That could take probably the whole book. Yeah. And yeah, the barbed wire, that's a good one. I often think that, we, after we experience something that is so silencing or quieting for us, in a way that we are unable to express who we are in whatever way we want to, whether that's speaking or dressing or, our home or whatever. When that happens, then we will, when we don't give ourselves the opportunity to heal from that, then we will start to build up our own walls. That barbed wire just gets thicker and thicker and thicker. And I do believe that at some point we all reach the point, and often it's past 50. But yeah, we reach that point where we say, this isn't working anymore. I can't do this. Now it's time to choose me. So and that's been kind of an interesting topic for me on its own. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say about, kind of the revelations that happen after 50 that don't happen earlier.
I want to just speak first about there's a saying, you're too much of something. There's that kind of that saying, and you can't be too much of yourself. Like, who else are you going to be except yourself? So you have to be wholly yourself. So you can't quantify the too muchness. So I'd really suggest anyone who's got that sort of programming to honor all of you. I'm actually doing a talk next week about the mature female brain, that there's actually changes that happen, from infants to puberty to our mothering role, and then to the mature female brain, that in the scientific field, they can see the changes. It's not like, well, she's acting like that because she's a woman, or she's acting like that because she's mothering a baby, or, now she's in menopause. So there's actually a structure of the brain that is always changing, more so in women than men. So that we understand, the more we understand, I like to say, the operating system, the more we understand that, and don't just think we're kind of locked in this is how it is. And making space for those changes, realizing, okay, I'm coming into that place in my life. What changes are happening? within, and where do I see that I've not had the ability to speak my voice, or to honor myself in a relationship, or a friendship, or whatever. So when we come into our 50s, it's like, I want to say, we get to take our power back, because we kind of diffused it. And for many of us that are very empathetic, we tend to do for others first, and we're at the end of the list. So our brain now says, no more. I want you at the top of the list. And for us, me included, that have done it the opposite way, to take back your power sometimes feels like, am I really allowed to? And well, if I do it this way, then tomorrow I can kind of change it, and I'll change back. But once we step into that power place of ourselves, we realize how much more integrated, how much more clear thinking we have, how much more energy we have in our body. It's actually a really beautiful place to be, to be aging with an awareness of what the process is, and owning your power. I think this is the time for women to do that. And for the globe, I think we will help Mother Earth in many ways, because we are coming back to our own power in ourselves.
Yeah, that's a lovely way to put it. I think that we have a role that we need to step into now. The earth is a very different place, and I think that we can lead it into something better, for sure. And yeah, I love that there is actually there's brain science behind what happens to us, and I can call it lots of things, and a lot of them are when a lot of women that I meet, it's just when they get to the point where they say, okay, F you, I'm not doing this anymore. And it's lovely. I mean, it's lovely. I honestly, I didn't believe it for the longest time until I started to experience it myself. Yeah, they were right. The whole time they were right. Yeah, it is different, and it feels different, and it's powerful. And that awareness, you're talking about the awareness of who we are, and what's happening to us is so important. It just gives us our that's our library, it feels like to me. It tells us what we're all about, and allows us to work from there. This is your blueprint. Let's go.
And what a world it would be if everyone was truly in their power, not power over anyone else, but in their power fully, knowing and understanding their gifts, and working in a collaborative way. The world would just be, I don't know, transformed and dynamic in a whole different way. Yeah. And I'm saying man, woman, child, everyone.
Yeah, you could think about that one for a while. Yeah,
it's hearing John Lennon, Imagine, in the background.
That was exactly what was in my head. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, beautiful content in that. Yeah, it's I think, yeah, we have it in us, and that I think when we start to recognize that we own our own power, and that using that power can be, I'm just going to sound a little hokey, but using our power for good is not only what we really all want. I don't think that we are intrinsically out to be power over anyone else. I think that we want to live equally. I believe that's true for us all. But kind of embracing that for ourselves first is a beautiful way to think about, okay, how then how can I apply this outside?
Yeah. And it takes that to own yourself. Like, if you're doing it and you haven't owned it, there is this kind of clunky funkiness that to truly be in harmony and in that full integrity, takes you to have lived it and also have the empathy to understand the other person. So walking a mile in someone else's moccasins, that, when we have that as a way of living, it's because it's something we've embodied. We know it at a deeper level.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the first step, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think we all need community. This last year, of course, we've been very isolated in different ways. And, the human being, as I spoke before, needs to belong, but also needs connection and community to grow into and grow through and grow, into their own innate, goodness, gifts, whatever that be. So I would recommend to any viewer who's watching this is, find that community that you feel seen and heard in, wherever that is, and, it may be just two people. You have two people and you call that your community, and then, you may get into a larger community. But to trust yourself in knowing that you have such value to bring to a community, as well as you can actually request that you're being held and supported in that community. So it's always that give and receive. So yeah, seek that out if you need that. Well, I think everyone needs it. So seek that out if you need to enrich that in your life.
Absolutely. Great advice. Yeah. So, Lulu, just before we wrap up, I have a couple of other questions that I want to ask you. And one is that is what if you are a woman who has experienced something similar to what you did as a child that you wrote about in your chapter in Find Your Voice, Save Your Life, but you haven't started to do your own healing. What would you suggest to that woman?
So if you have a specific incident like mine and you've not shared that before, I think the first place to do is to write it out, get that whole incident out, write it out, and use whatever language you want in it. You can blame, shame, whatever in your text, just get it all out. Because the place of power is in the uncovery as well as the recognition of what happened and where things were not right. So often we've actually taken on to ourselves, I was in the wrong. Whereas when you often write it out, you realize, oh, actually, I was like mine. I was just trying to get comfortable. There's no wrongness in that. So, sort of sectioning the parts out, like teasing it out. So you put the whole mess on the page and then you tease it out and find that. And then if you have a valued friend, I would definitely share that with them. Sometimes these things that happen when we're young, it's not so good to go back to our parents because they have a different memory of things, etc., etc. And it's better to be viewed from an outside source. And of course, working with a qualified therapeutic person that you trust. And if there is, trauma or abuse, seeking the right channels to do that. One of the things I did for myself was some EMDR, which is, it bypasses the cognitive verbal aspect. And so the release for in your body is, especially for people with PTSD, that it was originally designed for war veterans to release the trauma of PTSD. And so it bypasses that, just talking about it stage. I also would recommend any somatic work, which means body orientated work, because these things that have happened actually live in our body. And what happens with people as they age, that's where the dis-ease comes in, is because this is the lock stuck energy of trauma or wounding that has happened,
Mhm.
and we haven't, moved that out of our body. So anything somatic, I would recommend. And of course, you do beautiful work with people, and I'm available worldwide to do work with people. So yeah, seek a few different channels to support yourself, to work through that.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I think that
Absolutely.
sometimes women don't feel like there is, but there definitely is. I mean, you named different modalities that supported you. And I think we all kind of have to figure out what that is for ourselves. But yes, I like what you said. I think it's, there is a path out of this. Yeah, for sure. Or through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have one last question, just a silly little question that I like to ask everybody just for some fun. So can you share with us one fun or funny thing about you that you don't normally share?
Oh, um, well, I do share this. So I have this affinity to mermaids. And of course, I've got this kind of curly and redhead. Often mermaids are redheads for some reason. So I would feel very comfortable being a mermaid, and I like there's this beautiful quote about only those that are prepared to go deep. That's kind of the essence of a mermaid. She's going to swim deep, then she's going to come up to the surface. So that's my little fun fact. And I like being a redhead, and I even liked my freckles as a child. Not many people usually say that, and I liked both.
Awesome. I like them too. That's fun. Oh, we could have an entire hour on mermaid stuff, which
Oh,
maybe we'll
let's
do
do
at one
it
point.
today.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's awesome. Well,
Can
Lulu, thank you. Sorry, honey, you want to say something else?
can I just show your readers?
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
this was my first book. It's everyone likes to do this. And this is the thing when you market. You want people to be touching it, and this has always been the way. But this is the way this painting was painted, and then the words never really fitted anywhere. So that's why we did it this way. Soul Blessings. And it's a beautiful gift book. So there's beautiful art and poetic prose throughout the book. Of course, the book I wrote with Dianna is this one, Find Your Voice, Save Your Life. I also have a beautiful journal and a deck of cards that go together with the same artist as this book. So yeah, I'm sure you're going to put my contact links. So if anything I can support you with, please reach out for me.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll pop it in the comments as soon as we're done going live. I love Lulu's books. That Soul Blessings book is absolutely breathtaking. Between the art and the words, it's beautiful. And it's a perfect one. I know for me, I feel very differently when I just take the time to sit and go through it. Yeah, it's a mind shifter for me. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so yes, we will have the contact information in the comments shortly. And Lulu, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it. It's been awesome having you here and hearing all your wisdom. And thank you for being part of Find Your Voice, Save Your Life. That was a gift for me. I appreciate that very much. While we're talking about Find Your Voice, Save Your Life, everyone, I'm taking applications for volume 2. There are just a few spots left, so if you have any interest in joining us in that volume, then please get with me, and my email address will be in the comments as well. So thank you again, Lulu. You take care, and thanks for showing up, everybody. It's always a pleasure, and you know what I say, just by showing up, you're kicking your own ass. So thank you.
Bye.
If you like today's podcast, hit subscribe at the bottom on your way out, and come find me at cravemorelife.com for even more DIY ass kicking.